Hello YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about long head of the tricep exercises. This is not going to be a theoretical video like I usually do. I'm actually going to show you the exercises we're going to discuss today. The NH of this portion of the video is just going to be the guide to connect all of the pieces together, because as you will see, there are three main movements I want to share with you so as to help you develop a portion of the arm that, in my opinion, is grossly undertrained, and that is the long head. The long head is the portion of your tricep that actually makes up the meatiest part of it. It's the underbelly of the arm, and I feel like many people don't work it as much because it's mostly invisible. What I mean by this is that it's like an underbelly muscle. It's underneath the arm, and if you're like this, it's not something that you're going to see much, right? You're going to see it from the side right there. But in reality, it is actually quite massive. And the proof is that if you take your fist and you go underneath your arm and you press it, all of that is the muscle. All of that is what's hiding underneath the arm. And because of that, many people don't train it as much as they should, because it's not technically a beach muscle. But guess what? When you flex a sep and you go like this, the sep is on top, and what is underneath? The long head. So if you want that nice sweep underneath that makes the entire arm look like a rugby ball, an American football, it's something that is unavoidable. You cannot skip it. Too many bros skip long head of the tricep. They do a shit ton of press, they work the lateral head a ton, but they completely ignore that portion. And that, in my opinion, is criminal. So we are going to get into the first exercise that I think everyone should be doing, the aptly named French press. So for French presses, you're going to select your dumbbell with whatever weight you can rep comfortably. I really encourage you to do something that is not lower than 6 reps. You can go to failure, it's fairly safe because you can just dump the dumbbell, but we want to preserve the integrity of the elbows, and so it's always better for that type of isolation movement for the tricep to actually pick a weight that is manageable. So for the setup, you're going to just sit your ass on the bench or wherever in reality, and then if it's a heavy weight, you're going to have to actually stand up with the weight. If it's a weight that's manageable, like I'm going to use right now for the demonstration, you can just bend over and pick it up. So there we are. I have my weight in my hands. What you want to do afterwards is just sit it on your knees like this, and you want to place your hands like a cup here to grab the weight. So as you understand, if it's thick and there's a lot of plates here, you don't want to grab like a sandwich. You want to go underneath. You don't actually need to grab it. You just go like this and you lift it here. Once it's here, you're going to position it on your upper chest like this, all right, with the elbows securing the position, and you're going to actually secure the end position next that you're going to press into. And from there, you're going to do a press straight up and to the side. So here, to the side here, and then you're going to secure it behind your head like this. And normally, the position of the hands you have here should be the one that you press into. Your elbows are going to naturally go into the position they want to espouse as you're going to do the exercise. You don't really need to shimmy around, which is good because this position is not the most comfortable, as you can see. Here it's baby weight, so it doesn't really matter. But usually once you get here, it's the moment where you're going to start to have to brace because you want stability. Now, there's a little twist or thing that I want you guys to do. For this exercise, you don't want your full ass to be on the bench. Actually, you will find that you're going to be the most powerful if only a portion of the glutes are on the bench. So the trick I use is I don't want my arm strength to be touching the bench. And then in this position, what you're going to do is straighten up, right? You don't want to be bent forward like this. You want to be as straight as possible, even bend backward a bit if you have the ability and the stability, if you have something in your back, for example, that's giving you a little bit of a support. But for me, I don't. So what I do is get the rib cage big. Okay, so I'm going to take a breath. And from here, up. All right? Now, you don't see where the dumbbell actually goes behind my head, but it's not a problem. Because what you want is, you really want just to extend the arms and stop where it feels comfortable. You do not need to lock the elbows. I want to go up, and then I want to go and allow for the stretch here, okay? So you'll see that the dumbbell in reality, and I'll show it afterwards when I switch angles, should be behind your head. This is the depth of the range of motion. Look at the long head. Look at how much it's stretched. This is what you want. Don't obsess over the top portion, obsess over the bottom portion. And then what you want to do is you want to get yourself out of this shitty ass position. So how do you do this? Well, press up. And from here, you have two options. Either you are in a gym that allows you to behave like a barbarian and you toss it, or you're going to bend like this and grab as it goes down. Now, you can do this with baby weight. I do it with like upward of 60 pounds. I can do it, but then it becomes a circus act. So what I usually dump it. Don't go and injure yourself, hurt yourself by trying to be the hero that doesn't make any noise. If your gym is populated by pansies, you might get in trouble, but fuck it. Worst case scenario, you grab it as it falls. But be careful, because if you try to go with the flow too much and you try to grab the weight as it falls too much, you might hurt your lower back, and that's simply not something we want. Now, let's see what it looks like from the side. So from the side, the exercise here is going to be, again, with a straight torso, and you're going to be able to see the arm and the way the arm and the back are going to work in unison to actually get the weight moving. So this time I'm going to rep it and not just do slow reps to show you what it actually should be looking like. So we get in position. Here it's baby weight, so it's easy for me to pick it up, secure on the upper chest. As such, place your hands, press up to the side, behind the head, secure, big breath, and we rep it. All right, and you want both feet to be firmly planted on the ground, okay? You want something stable. And from here, this is your range of motion, okay? And you'll see here, I'm going to show you what I mean when I tell you to grab it. So here my set is finished. I do this. Again, baby weight, it's easy to grab. I'm sure that there are better ways to actually do this. So that was for the French press. It's an exercise I recommend you all try, because I think that in terms of biomechanics, most people can get away with it. What you're going to have to modify is maybe the torso angle, maybe the way your hands are going to be on the dumbbell, but it's really easy on the elbows for the most part, much more than many long head of the tricep exercise. So absolutely give it a try. The next one is one you've all heard about, the skull crusher. Almost everyone does skull crushers, but the vast majority of people who do them without really targeting the long head of the tricep, which is a tragedy because the movement was created for that in mind. Sadly, the influence of some powerlifting coaches have turned the movement into a compound movement when it was always supposed to be an isolation movement. So to give it its lettre de noblesse back, I am going to show you the way to do a skull crusher the proper way, so as to make sure you actually prioritize the muscle that we want to target for this video. It is with this very comfy and very intimate angle that I'm going to be showing you the next exercise, which is the skull crusher. Now, I'm sure that you've done skull crushers before and you've seen tons of people do them, but the way I'm going to show them to you today is a little bit different, because I personally perform the exercise with a certain bias towards the long head of the tricep, because in my opinion, that's what the exercise is best for. Meaning that you're going to see that my form is non-conventional. It's a little bit strange, but I'm going to explain to you as I do it, why I do it, the way I do it. So let us get laid together and actually look at the exercise and what it's supposed to do. All right, there we are. So from this position, many people, when they perform this exercise, when they finish the movement, their hands and their arm is in this position. So it's stacked. It's not something that I like to do. What I personally prefer to do is, I set up like a bench. So I'm going to give myself an arc. I'm going to grab my grip. So for the grip of the skull crusher, it's really up to you. I like a wide grip. Some people like a narrow grip. It truly doesn't matter. What is going to matter is the shoulder position. When we're talking long head, what you want is you want to place the shoulders in a flexed position. You want to actually allow for shoulder travel. So the way I do it is I go here, but instead of going at an angle with the elbow here, like many people do, what I do is I allow for further travel here
all the way here, all right? That's how I do my skull crushes. Now, you might tell me, NH, that's a pullover. You would be correct if I did the exercise like this. This would be a pullover because as you can see, what initiates the movement is the shoulder joint. However, the way I do it is like this. I allow for full flexion of the shoulder. Once the shoulder is fully flexed, the only thing that is going to move from there is the elbow joint as such, here, okay? So this is how I do my skull crushes, all right? And in this position, as you can see, the bottom of the range of motion is when the long head is fully flexed. So the striking range is as such, here, all right? It doesn't look like much, but as you can see, the only thing moving truly is the elbow. The shoulders are stationary. Now, we're going to go into a different angle so that you can see the way it looks from the top. So from the front, this very same exercise looks like this. So again, I'm going to place myself in position. Hello. We're going to get here, extend, all right, nice and comfortable. Get the arc going, grab, and allow for the full flexion, and up, right? This is the skull crushers to actually maximize the long head of the tricep work. If you want to do them the quote-unquote normal way, that is perfectly fine. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Et voilà, that was for the skull crusher. I can already read the salty comments of the powerlifters, the power copers, that are going to be telling me that this is no skull crusher, this is bullshit. Try it. Try it once and tell me how the long head of the tricep feels. I'm guaranteeing you're going to feel a stretch like you've never felt before. Now, we are going to actually end this video on something a little bit more light on the intensity spectrum because it's nice to actually destroy that long head, and it is something that you should be doing. Just because it's isolation doesn't mean that we go easy, but a little bit of a pump has never actually killed anyone. So I'm going to show you the one movement that I always prioritize for active recovery and for pump work, high rep work, for anyone who wants to get a longer head of the tricep. So these ones are going to serve more as something like a nucleus overload type of training, or it's going to be something like active recovery. These are not technically hard sets, but you will find that because the elbows are sometimes a little bit cranky, if you want to develop the long head of the tricep, you might not always be able to do the sets with the exercise I prescribed previously, and therefore doing something a little bit easier with a band or with a spree like I'm doing here can be beneficial. So actually, the one that I like the most, and I'm going to share with you today, is the supinated tricep extension with shoulder flexion. So the way you want to do it is you set up a band that is going to be set up above your head. So it should be something that is going to allow gravity to pull you upward, and you're going to fight downward like a cable would. If you have a cable, it's even better. So the way we're going to do it is you are going to grab your cable or your band or whatever with a supinated grip, and from here, you're going to keep the elbow close to you, and as you go down, you don't just want to extend like this, you want to accompany the movement with the shoulder, all right? And you will find, and you will feel, I hope, in your long head that most of the work is actually directed toward this part of the tricep. Why is moving the shoulder so important? It's because the long head of the tricep works with the shoulder flexion. If you were just doing this, it still works, don't get me wrong, but you're going to get mostly lateral head of the tricep. And here, what we want is that long head. So you want to allow for that movement to actually occur. In this position, as you can see here, I also don't lock the elbow. I don't go all the way. Why? There's no need. Most of the tension is from here to here. This is the magic spot right there. Here, there's almost no tension here, right? I allow it to go up because it helps with the natural pattern of the movement. So
this is something that I actually encourage. And as you can see, I go quote unquote for the pump. This is not challenging at all, but it's also the reason why it's something you can use for nucleus overload. So we want to target with the exercise. It's that thick boy right there in the back that, as you can see, always is going to pop and allow for the arms to look more 3D and more voluminous as you develop it. Don't make the mistake I did all these years ago, training only the bicep. You end up with a pretty massive bicep here, but then here, it's not as big as it should be. Thankfully for me, I'm catching up. This is starting to actually fill up a bit. And the thing that I found, and I'm going to leave you with that, is that the magic of bodybuilding is that if you actually develop that guy right there, and this guy is also big, guess what happens? It gives the illusion of him being even bigger because it's being propped up. There's more meat underneath here. And so this looks like super elevated. And if you want a bigger head of the bicep, if you want that peak from the side where you can go like this and it pops, it's good to have something here. I'm going to leave you with that. Remember to work the long head of your tricep if you want it to grow, or else you're going to end up with spaghetti arms and a spider physique. And as we all know, it doesn't look good. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.